I'm here.
Okay.
Yep. I'm just waiting for my computer to restart.
No problem. Well, let's see. I guess let's go ahead and start, right? 9 o'clock, we got 30 minutes. I mean, this is only really the four of us. Oh, here comes Emily. So Brittany, if you can just help me just admit everybody that comes in as they come in. So I'll start off so my name again is Philippe. I've got Brittany from our team that's helping out today. We're with On Point Events. We are a tour operator first and foremost. So everything that we sell is essentially a travel package with access to some of these major sporting events that we'll talk about here in a little bit. So these travel packages are going to consist of everything from hotel, airport transfers, tickets to the event, maybe tickets to some of the surrounding events like parties, hospitality, event transportation, tours like specialty tours, specialty access at the event, and sort of everything in between. So just to clarify, we don't sell tickets by themselves. We only sell it as part of a package. And so we were chatting just here earlier as we're starting, and it sounds like you get some requests for soccer events like in Europe and what have you when people are traveling. So let's talk about that for a moment. Our focus is really on the major sporting events, the ones that are really big, always typically sold out, difficult to have access to, or to get access to. That's kind of where we begin. So for things like European soccer leagues, I can certainly help you. So if you get that request, I can point you in the right direction, or I can assist you. It's not something that we really focus on because it's fairly easy to get access to. And so as a result, there's just little value that we can provide as a company. But when you do get those requests for one-off families that are in Europe and they want to see, Barcelona play, or they want to see Manchester United play, or what have you, just feel free to reach out to us. We have all those contacts and access, so it's easy enough for us to do as a one-off. So with that said, so some major sporting events. So we're covering events, things like the Masters. We talked about that earlier. Kentucky Derby, the World Cup of Soccer. So that's the one big soccer event that we cover. Champions League final, which is another big soccer event in Europe. Oh, okay, Shard. Oh, sorry. Let me just add her as co-host. Sorry about that, guys. I know you guys were waiting to join. This is the reason why I need help. Thank you, Brittany. You're now co-host. So as I was saying, so all the major sporting events that we cover are things like the Kentucky Derby, the World Cup of Soccer, the Olympics, both summer and winter, Super Bowls, Champions League final, European Cups. Those are the major events that we generally cover. And again, these are all going to be as a full travel package. So let's start off with, we'll kind of go through them one at a time, but I guess let me start off with just talking about this past year. Obviously, this has been a challenging year, right, for travel, obviously, and especially for events. So ever since March of 2020, every single sporting event has either been canceled, postponed, or play without spectators. So it's been a super challenging year. The way that we have handled that with most of our clients is we've essentially moved clients from their existing reservation to whenever the new rescheduled event date is. So the people that were supposed to be at the Masters in April of 2020, they all got moved to the dates in November. And then of course, when November didn't happen with spectators, we moved them all again to April in 2021. So it's kind of interesting because it is very much an evolving space. It's very much an evolving issue as far as these sporting events go. Capacity restraints is probably the biggest issue that we're seeing now that they're slowly allowing these sporting events to happen again with spectators. So let's take as an example, Super Bowl that's coming up. So you may know we've got the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home here in a couple of weeks in Tampa. This is a prime example of an event. This is really our first event of the year that's happening with spectators at a major level. So they've cut back spectators to about 22,000. of which I think 7,000 of those are healthcare workers. So the reality is there's really only room for 15,000 fans, which is a substantial cutback from what that stadium would normally hold or host, which is closer to 65,000. So these are the things that we're dealing with as the sporting world sort of returns and as fans return to the sporting events, is capacity constraints, right? So where we used to be able to have 65,000 people in a stadium, in this specific example, we're not getting cut back to 22,000. And so obviously that's going to drive the price and availability of these packages substantially, especially for the events where we have moved customers from a previous date to the new date. So that's probably the biggest thing. So in terms of updates for COVID, the Masters Golf Tournament is going to be another one that's coming up here in April. That again is going to be extremely limited capacity. So we'll talk about that in a second. Kentucky Derby, which is going to be next on the roster in May, they've cut back to about 50% capacity. And then slowly, as the events for the rest of the year are coming online, the capacity constraints seem to they keep increasing, which is a good thing, right? So we're slowly getting back to normal, but it is a slow trickle back to normal. So with that said, before I kind of launch in and talk about each of these events, since we've had a lot more people join here since I've been rambling, right, any questions so far? Any questions about COVID, how it's affecting these events, or any of these specific events that we've got coming up? And you can just unmute yourself to ask the question. Make it as interactive as possible. No questions.
Oh. I think they're all just waiting for you to go on back to everything else.
No, yeah.
There's lots of things. I know Suzanne and I heard in the beginning, guys, but yeah, they do all the World Cup type things for those soccer moms over there. I know.
Okay, great. So I guess we'll just launch into, so these are different packages, right? So again, as a tour operator, we're providing the full travel package for each of these different events, starting with the Super Bowl coming up here in a couple of weeks. So we're going to do 3 or 4 night stays. And then typically people are going to have airport transfers, event transfers, of course, seats to the actual game itself. And then in a normal year, a non-COVID year, we would have access to all these different hospitality events, parties, et cetera. But obviously with COVID, and this being the first sort of major sporting event since everything happened last year, there's just not going to be any live events at the Super Bowl this year, unfortunately. The Masters Golf Tournament. So this is a huge bucket list item for anyone who is a golfer or is a golf fan. This is considered to be the hardest ticket in sports. Very, again, difficult to get access to, and then again, that's where we begin, right? So we love that type of event because that's where we can provide a lot of value. So here we're doing a mixture of both hotels as well as private homes, just because unfortunately there's not a lot of really luxury hotel inventory in Augusta, Georgia. So there we work a lot with homeowners that have some beautiful homes that they open up for rent during the Masters week. And so that's something that we highly recommend. Of course, tickets to the actual event itself. We run a really great hospitality house there as well throughout the week, where people can sort of come and go for food and drink throughout the day. We do a lot of tea times at some of the courses around the Augusta area. So there are some great private courses, including Sage Valley and Champions Retreat and others there that our clients love to sort of mingle into the itinerary, right? So they'll do a couple of days on the course, they'll do a couple of days actual golfing. We do a lot of father-son trips to this, and then of course a lot of corporate groups as well.
Quick question, Philippe.
Sure.
Do you offer, like some people just want to be there for the finals, or they want to be there for I'm not a golfer, I forget what the first few days are called, but practice rounds and things. Yeah. But I mean, do you break this into a not 6-night package?
Yes, absolutely. So we customize everything, right? So it's literally, it all depends on what they want. Some people want to, like you mentioned, some people want to be there just for the practice rounds, mainly because, or in some cases because it's more economical. but also because there are some unique aspects around being at the Masters during the practice round, because the golfers are very relaxed. It's a neat opportunity to kind of walk the course. Brittany, will you help me with muting people? And then other people want to be there, like you said, for the championship round. They want to be there just for that championship Sunday. So we mix and match, all depending on what people are looking to accomplish.
Are these prices net? Or are they commissionable?
Great question. These are all commissionable prices. Yep. And so we typically will offer a 10% commission on our packages. Some travel agencies or advisors will ask us for more, in which case we can build that in. That's again, completely up to you. You know your client. Yep. But again, feel free to ask any questions as I'm going through this. Don't worry about interrupting me. Actually, the more questions I get, the better. Kentucky Derby. Let's move on to that. That's another fantastic event that we do once a year. It's the most exciting it's known as the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Major horse race in Louisville, Kentucky, once a year, always the first weekend in May. It is going to be on this year. So I think I opened up earlier in the presentation, talked about this. They will be running at 50% capacity, which may not sound like a lot, but it really is when it comes to the reserve seating. So the way they get to 50% is they will not have all the infield day of tickets. And so that takes a lot of pressure off the market as far as seating goes. So we actually feel very confident about the Kentucky Derby this year. So it's a 3-night stay. And again, here we're offering, obviously the hotel, the airport transfers, the transfers out to on race day out to the actual track. There's a ton of different type of seating at the Kentucky Derby. So that is something that we spend a lot of time sort of on a consultative basis with you and or your client, just to kind of walk them through all the different options at the track, where to sit, pros and cons. And so we can talk through all that. This year, again, due to COVID, there's probably not going to be a lot of additional events, but typically we see events both on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. So it's a 3-night stay, which means the clients come in on a Thursday, they leave on a Sunday. The Kentucky Oaks, which is the race for all the 3-year fillies, is run on the Friday. And then the Kentucky Derby, which is the race for the 3-year thoroughbreds, 3-year-old thoroughbreds, is run on that Saturday. And so it is a full day at the track, about 13 races every 40 or so minutes, but lots of fun, lots of pageantry. We love this event. We do a lot of mother-daughter trips for this, a lot of couples, as well as corporate groups. And I think someone on the call mentioned they had done Kentucky Derby before. I don't know if that's
I have.
that's a great event.
It is a great event.
Let's see. We'll see here. We're 9:13, about halfway through roughly. I'm going to skip over some of these a little bit, but the UEFA Champions League final. So every year, the top premier European leagues are playing against each other in what's called the Champions League. And it's kind of the typical format of, that we've seen with kind of group stages that then result into round of 16, into quarterfinals, semis, and final. And so this is the final. And again, these are the private clubs. So these would be clubs like Manchester United, like Chelsea, like Fulham, Barcelona, Real Madrid. These are the clubs that are competing in this league. And again, it culminates once a year into the final. These are 3-night stays, or it's a 3-night stay. And this year in May, it's going to be hosted in Istanbul. So that's one soccer event that we cover for those of you that are soccer fans. Next one is Wimbledon tennis. So of the Grand Slam Tour, the Wimbledon is probably considered one of the hardest events to attend in terms of getting the access. Very small amount of seating on this course, and just a fantastic event. Always happens in June, July, in just outside of London. Again, here we're doing completely customized packages. I mean, I know it says a 3-night stay here, but we could do a 1-night stay, a 2-night stay. We have a lot of flexibility. And one of the things that we love to include in these packages at Wimbledon is the hospitality. So we have a hospitality that's on site at Wimbledon that people can kind of go back and forth to. So just a great way to experience Wimbledon tennis. Next one is another soccer event. So this one is coming up. This happens. So the Euro Cup happens every 2 years, and so this is the European national teams that are competing. So this would be the countries that are competing, and same sort of format with the whole group stage through round of 16 through to the finals. This is somewhat exceptional this year. This was the Euro Cup that was supposed to happen last year, but it got postponed to this year. Normally, it's all played within one European country, but in this case, it's going to be split over the course or over multiple countries, and the semifinals and the finals will both happen, or with all three of those will happen in London itself. So this is specifically for the semifinals and for the finals, but we are also offering all the group stage matches leading up to it as well. All right, one of my favorites that's coming up, this is the Tokyo Summer Olympics. So this is the Summer Olympics that was supposed to happen last year and got postponed and moved to July, August of this year. Tokyo, great destination. I'm sure most of you have already or are very familiar with Tokyo or have sold Tokyo to your clients in the past. Just a phenomenal destination, lots of fun things to do, add-on trips. But we're running 6-night stays. We have a variety of different hotel product here, including the brand new Four Seasons Otemachi, which if you're not familiar with the brand new Four Seasons that opened up this year, or actually opened up last year, phenomenal property. It's definitely the new crown jewel in the Tokyo skyline. We had some rooms. I think we still have rooms at the Park Hyatt, Hilton Shinjuku, Hyatt Regency. So we have a variety of different levels of hotel property that we can offer at the Olympics. 6-night stays, people get to pick and choose what events they want to go to. Everything from the opening ceremonies to gymnastics, swimming, table tennis. There's just a lot of different events to choose from. And so that's part of what we spend a lot of time with clients, is kind of walking through the schedule, the competition schedule, and picking and choosing the different events that they want to see, which again, everybody wants to see something different.
Felipe, excuse me, are you running like you're operating like it will run? And the cancellation penalties, et cetera, if they were to cancel again?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we, so as a result of COVID, the one thing that we can offer is we can offer for all new packages being booked is what's called a trip protection plan. So it's not travel insurance in the traditional sense, but it's trip protection, where for an additional fee, they get, if the event gets canceled or gets played without spectators, which are really the two options that, that there's a remote chance of, then the client gets a full refund. So that's called our trip protection plan. And that's something that we offer for all of our events, not just for Olympics. But something that we're offering for all events. And that's, again, also going to be commissionable to you. Now,
what type of a price is put on something like that?
It's a 10%. It's a
10% of the package.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so what I would recommend for someone, if they're concerned about the event being canceled or being played without spectators, is to take out the trip protection plan, but also to do the travel insurance. Because again, our trip protection plan is not travel insurance. It doesn't provide for lost luggage or delayed flights and all the traditional things that travel insurance covers.
How are your bookings for the Olympics?
It's been really, really good. So the Olympics is, the Olympics was selling extremely well up until the point that we had COVID. And all the clients that were booked for the 2020 Olympics, of course, they moved over to the new 2021. So it's been good. But even throughout COVID, throughout last year, this is one of just a couple events that are really still selling.
They say it's going to go. It's just with the increase over there. I was just wondering.
Yep. It's, look, the updates so far are that there is no plan B. right? They can't cancel it. They can't postpone it again. The only thing that they're looking at, which is stadium capacity. And so there are kind of two things that are going on there. One is stadium capacity, which the current chatter is that it's probably going to be set at 60%, but it does depend on local Japanese laws or guidelines as we get closer. But we're not really concerned about the capacity issue as far as impacting our ticket allotment because they're taking a lot of that capacity away from the local market. So we're not really seeing any concerns there. The other thing is obviously travel to Japan. Like right now, the borders are closed. They're looking at opening the borders back up again in spring. And so there's probably going to, there's going to be all the usual stuff, right? There's going to be a negative COVID test required before entry. There is going to be a contract or a contact tracing app that visitors will have to download onto their phones and use throughout their stay. There is a potential visa, which we're still watching or monitoring closely, trying to figure out exactly how that's going to work. But I think the way that we're reading it so far is that in order to gain access to Japan, you have to have this visa because they're going to keep the border shut to other non-game spectators. And the way to get the visa is just to show proof that you've actually purchased tickets for the Olympics. So that should be fairly easy to navigate. And we've seen that before in the past, during non-COVID years. We saw it at the World Cup in Russia in order to get a visa for Russia. We saw it in Brazil for the Summer Olympics. So fairly easy to navigate. That's what we're seeing so far.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions so far? I've only got a couple more events I wanted to briefly cover. All right, Winter Olympics, so same thing. This is obviously once every 4 years. These are all the winter games. These are figure skating, alpine skiing, etc. That all take place every 4 years. And so the next event is going to be in Beijing, China in 2022. And so here we're going to do similar to what we saw at the Summer Olympics. We're running 6-night stays. We have the Four Seasons Beijing. We have a couple of the hotels as well. It's sort of in the more the deluxe level. And again, people can pick and choose the different events that they want as part of their package. Transportation throughout the stay, lots of different specialty tours that we're going to be running. And again, that's going to be in Beijing in 2022. And then last but not least, another event, for the soccer fans, right? So another event that we're looking forward to is the FIFA World Cup. So this is, again, these are the men's national teams, but on a worldwide basis that are competing. Happens once every 4 years. It's going to be in Qatar for the first time ever in 2022. And it's going to be during our winter time, which is somewhat unusual because normally the World Cup is played during June and July of the season. But this will be in November, December in Qatar, mainly due to the heat. So that was specifically chosen for that reason. And here we're going to be running 7, 8, or 12-night stays, depending on when clients are coming in. What's really unique about Qatar and about this World Cup is that in previous years, the World Cup would be spread out throughout a host country. So like the last World Cup that we went to was in Russia, and the games were spread out throughout all of Russia. And so that meant the clients would have to travel between these different cities, which means, unpacking, packing, flying, driving, et cetera, getting to these different cities, lots of travel time built in order to follow a specific team, like follow the United States or follow England or what have you. So what's unique about Qatar is that the longest distance between any two stadiums is 45 minutes. So that's super unique in the sense that from a fan perspective, you could actually get to see multiple games in one day and not have to travel very far. So you could stay put in one hotel and just go around to the different stadiums and see the different games that you want to see. So that's going to be super unique with this World Cup. That is, that's what I've got. Those are the sort of the key upcoming events that we have. Gave you the quick COVID update, talked a little bit about our trip protection plan. I'd like to just kind of open it up and see if there are any other questions. Anything that I can answer?
It looks like somebody asked, do we sell Stanley Cup tickets?
We do not do Stanley Cup. But again, feel free to reach out to me. I can certainly point you in the right direction on Stanley Cup.
What type of a deposit is required? I know it's probably different, but just as a rule of thumb.
Yeah, rule of thumb, it's typically 25% at the time of booking.
Is it non-refundable from that time?
Yes.
I would think so. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you offer Ryder Cup as well?
So
Or is that on the same as Stanley Cup?
yeah, same as Stanley Cup, just because Ryder Cup doesn't sell out. It's
Yeah.
an event that's fairly easy, accessible. But again, if you have clients wanting to go, feel free to use this as a sporting reference, right? So we're here to assist you. If we don't do it, we'll point you in the right direction of who does or where you can easily get it yourselves. So we're help.
And can you assist with small groups?
Yes, absolutely. We love small groups.
Okay, perfect.
So can these be customized? Say they don't need the airfare, they just need the land part.
Yep, absolutely. So we actually don't do airfare.
Perfect.
We leave that to the experts, to you guys.
Okay, so what if they don't need the hotel? They just want the experience.
So it depends on the event. Typically, we do want to. I mean, we have to have a package, right? So we don't sell tickets by themselves. We'll sell as part of a package. But depending on the event, depending on the request, just ask. I mean, it just depends on how much we've sold and where we're at in our program. Yeah, we have to make sure that we have enough hotel rooms to cover the tickets, enough tickets to cover the hotel rooms, that type of thing.
I was thinking of the Masters.
Okay, so for the Masters, yeah, typically they would have to have a hotel or a private home included in the package. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's a good question.
They have relatives in Georgia, that's why.
Gotcha. What are some other questions we get a lot, Brittany? I think something else that if I, as a travel advisor, I mean, we're a lot of times travel advisors, they come to us that they don't know the sporting event, they don't know how it works, and they maybe feel a little bit unsure about where to go. I mean, that's literally like, we're here to help. So we, see us as a partner, as an extension of you. We're very happy to jump onto a 3-way conference call as your partner, right? And just walk through the sporting event, walk through all the different seating options. And I think I mentioned that with the Kentucky Derby. There are so many different seating options at the Derby. It can be a little bit overwhelming. And then, but if we can help you with the client and walk them through the process and kind of share with them the pros and cons of where to sit and why, all based upon their budget and what they're trying to accomplish, that typically gets us really far in that proposal process pretty quickly.
I know one question we do get a lot through our webinars is, when do we start booking for, Masters or Derby? Because, maybe 2021 is still maybe a concern for some, and they're looking to book for 2022 or, further out.
Yep, it's a great question. Great question, Brittany. So we typically start booking that immediately following the last event, right? So the Super Bowl is coming up here in a couple of weeks' time. We won't start booking the next Super Bowl, which will be in LA, until after the Super Bowl finishes. So we are in the process of working on all of our packages, putting them all together, doing all the pricing, and then we release that immediately following that Super Bowl or that event. So same thing for the Derby. Well, obviously, right now we're still focused on selling the Derby 2021, but once we get on the other side of Derby 2021 in May, that's when we'll start selling Kentucky Derby 2022.
And do you do large, like March Madness and basketball events, or do you stay away from that as well?
Yeah, we used to. So several years ago, we used to do the Final Four. It's just become, it's become super easy to do for people themselves. Again, we just don't find that we can provide a lot of value.
Agree. Yeah. Gets tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm assuming the same with bowl games.
Same thing with bowl games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also found that, I mean, again, bowl games just to some extent, like March Madness, is very fan driven, right? So it just becomes a little bit more elusive. These events that we're focused on here, these are like
Specialized.
Yeah, they're specialized. They're bucket list. They're like, I've always wanted to go to the Super Bowl. I've always wanted to go to the Kentucky Derby. They're not really fan based per se, or not, at least not fan or team driven. So that's one of the things we like about them.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions?
This has been great. Thank you.
Maybe another question is about commission for the trip protection.
Yep. It's a 10% commission on that too, right, Brittany? On trip protection? I believe it's a 10% commission on the trip protection as well.
Right. So those are commissionable as well.
Yeah, it's commissionable as well. So it's 10% on the package price, and then you as a travel advisor get 10% of that 10%. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is, if I don't know how much time you spend on virtuoso.com, but we have a landing page, or you can search for us on virtuoso.com. We have a lot of these webinars because we're typically hosting a webinar once a month where we do a deep dive in each event. So we just did one. What was the last one we did? We did Kentucky Derby, right? I think we just did Kentucky Derby last month. And so we do a deep dive where we spend 30 minutes just talking about that event, talking about all the seating options, talking about all the specialty tours, the behind the scenes stuff that we do, and really helping people, come up with all the questions that they should be asking their clients to help qualify them. And so once we do those webinars, you'll get an email from us, typically announcing the webinar. But even if you don't have time to join the webinar, we will release the recording on virtuoso.com. So if you go to the training portion of our landing page on virtuoso.com, you'll see the past webinars that we've been doing.
Delete.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My problem is that I don't remember the name of your company, and I'm looking everywhere on my notes for this webinar. What's the name of Philippe's company?
You're right, and I don't even have it on this slide, do I?
No, and I went back to the invite.
That's funny. So
brag about it.
Yeah, so we're On Point Events. On Point Events.
On Point. Okay, I did see that. Okay, On Point.
You're right. I don't even have it on my slides.
Only for those of us who don't have memory, so it's good. On Point Events. Got it.
On Point Events, yeah. Yeah, so on that training side on virtuoso.com, that's where we have all those webinars